Hey there, welcome to Beyond the Labels. I'm Sunny, your host, and today we are going to explore something that has a huge impact on our lives, and still it goes often unnoticed. And that is the trap of comparisons. It's something I have personally struggled with, and I'm sure many of you have too. And as human beings, we have this tendency to compare ourselves to others, whether it's our achievements, our bodies, our financial situation, or even the way we look. It's very easy to fall into the trap of believing that others are better off than us. And let's be honest, these comparisons, do they make us feel better? No. In fact, they often make us feel like we are not enough. But here is the truth: comparison is not only harmful, it's also just an illusion. Today, I want to dive deep into why we compare ourselves to others at first place, how it traps us, and most importantly, how we can break free from it. Ever since I was a child, I've been surrounded by comparisons too. Why can't you study like your cousins? Or look at how much stronger your friend is. These were just some of the things I heard growing up. And it was not just about the academics or physical strength, they were comparisons about my body. Why I was always the shortest in the class, why I was not as tall as or as strong as the other kids. I felt like I was constantly falling short. And then there was the comparison of wealth. We were not wealthy, but there were others around us who had more toys, more clothes, more trips. And I would compare myself to them, thinking, why don't I have that? At the time, I did not realize how deeply these comparisons were really affecting me. They became a lens through which I viewed my world, constantly feeling like I was not good enough, always striving to be like someone else. It's like I was in a race, but the finish line kept moving further away. So, as time went on, the comparisons did not stop. In fact, they got just worse. With the advent of social media, the comparisons became even worse, more intense. I started seeing others post their best moments, vacations, achievements, family gatherings, everything that looked perfect. Meanwhile, I was stuck comparing my ordinary life to their seemingly extraordinary life. But here is the thing: the social media only shows you one side of the story. We see always the good moments, the highlight reels, and we are left to compare them with our everyday lives. And what does that do? It makes us feel our lives are just boring, dull, or insignificant. But I tell you something, it's all a facade. The truth is, we are comparing apples to oranges. The person on the social media you're looking at is just showing you a curated version of their life. But what you don't see is behind the scenes struggles. Comparison only distorts the reality. And the more we fall into this trap, the more unhappy and unfulfilled we become. As I watched my daughters grow, I see them starting to compare their lives to others already. And that kind of breaks my heart. It's something I did not want them to experience at all. But I see it happening anyway. They compare their homes with others, they compare their cars with others, they compare their skin color, their clothes, their toys. It's a constant cycle of comparison, and that worries me. I often find myself wondering, where does this really come from? Are they really picking it up from me? Or is it just something that's naturally ingrained in us as a human beings? It's a difficult question. But what I know for sure is that we, as parents, have a responsibility to help them understand that comparison is not the answer. The truth is, the comparison breeds ungratefulness. When we focus on what others have, we stop appreciating what we have got. It's easy to look at someone else's life and think they have it better. But what we forget is that everyone has something they wish they had. Everyone has struggles and imperfections that we don't see. This is why I try to teach my daughters the importance of gratitude. Instead of comparing, I always encourage them to focus on what we have and how lucky we are. But it's a hard habit to break, especially in a world that thrives on showing us the best of others. It's like we have been programmed to always want more, to always feel like what we have is not enough. So the question is, why do we really compare ourselves to others in the first place? Why is it so easy to fall into this pattern, even when we know it does not make us feel good? As I have gotten older and learned more about human behavior, I've realized that comparisons are largely a product of our brains trying to just help us grow. Our brains are wired to look for ways to improve, to seek out better opportunities, and just, to get ahead. But instead of using this drive to focus on our own growth, we end up measuring ourselves against others, thinking that we are not doing as well as someone else, we must be failing. The problem with this is that growth does not happen through comparison. Growth happens when we focus on ourselves or our journey, our own journey. The comparison trap is a shortcut, and it's like a false sense of progress. We look at someone else and think, if only I had what they have, I would be better off. But what we don't realize is that this only leads to dissatisfaction and envy. In the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, Mark Manson talks about how we often focus on the wrong things. We get caught up in the comparisons, focusing on things that really don't matter. And in doing so, we forget to focus on what truly brings us happiness and fulfillment. Instead of comparing, we should be asking ourselves, what do I truly want? What makes me happy? What makes me feel fulfilled? And in the book, The Gifts of Imperfection, Brené Brown discusses how embracing our imperfections is a crucial step toward authenticity. We don't need to compare ourselves to others to be worthy. We are worthy simply because we exist. And when we stop comparing, we open ourselves up to self acceptance and more genuine life. One of the most profound realizations I've had is that comparison is a universal struggle. Everyone, no matter who they are or what they have, compares themselves to others. The rich man compares himself to someone wealthier. The young man compares himself to someone stronger. The bald person compares themselves to someone with hair. And the old man wishes he could be young again. We are all trapped in this cycle. But here's the thing, it's all relative. The person you envy is probably envying someone else. And the person envying you doesn't see the struggles you are facing. Comparison is never an accurate reflection of reality. It only highlights what we don't have and makes us feel inadequate. So, how do we break free from this trap of comparison? It starts with awareness. We need to recognize that comparisons are often based on illusions and they don't serve us. We need to remind ourselves that we are enough just as we are. Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, talks about the importance of living in the present moment. When we compare ourselves to others, we are either looking to the past or the future, never focusing on the present. And it's only in the present that we can truly experience joy and contentment. When we let go of the need to compare, we make room for gratitude, for self acceptance, and true growth. And as we embrace this mindset, we start to see the beauty in our own lives and we realize that we are already on the right path. The trap of comparison is something that holds many of us back, but it doesn't have to. We can choose to break free from this cycle and start living for ourselves. we can focus on our own journey, our own growth, and our own happiness. And in doing so, we will find that life is much more beautiful when we stop comparing and start embracing who we are. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Labels. Remember, you are enough. You have everything you need right now to create the life you want. Don't let the comparison steal your joy. Until next time, take care of yourself and embrace the beauty of your own story.